You all know, for example, we do not have an IBC.
Okay, we all know we don't have an IBC, and as Sto mentioned, the timeline for the boundary allocation is fast approaching. So a lot has been encompassed in this particular Nadco report. As I mentioned, 8 amendment bills, among them Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2023, the IBC Amendment Bill, Political Parties Amendment Bill, Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, Leader of Opposition Bill, the National Government Coordination Bill, Elections Bill, Election Offences Amendment Bill, the EACC Amendment Bill 2023. That encompasses what Parliament will be looking at in the next 45 days or so. I'd like to begin with the Wakili in the group for obvious reasons, because listening from the Joint Senate and National Assembly JLAC committees that have been tasked with considering the amendment bills in the National Dialogue Committee report, they say that they will propose later on either a parliamentary route or a referendum route to amend these laws. So looking at the proposed changes, what Kenyans want to know, what's the ideal route? Down the road, will we be going back to a referendum, as was witnessed a couple of years past, or Parliament will have the capacity to institute these changes?
First and foremost, again, a very good Sunday, still morning. And what I'd like to say is that the Constitution is very clear on amendment of that Constitution. And there are specific things that when you touch, especially the structure of the executive, we must go for a referendum. And I do not think that President William Ruto would be willing to go for a referendum in the first term of his presidency. I mean, anybody who has made that mistake knows what it means, especially now when there's a lot of public disaffection everywhere. So having a referendum right now with the amount of public disaffection, and you know Kenyans don't vote on issues, they just need someone to come and say we are refusing, or we are going this particular. You just need to look at where the president will be, regardless of whether that's the right place, and tell Kenyans the president is here and bottom up is not working, so let's go here. So I don't think that that's the best place to go. But having said that, I would like to say this. I usually tell people, look at the American Constitution. How many pages is it? Compare that with our Constitution. How many pages is our Constitution? We have more than 600 acts of parliament. In fact, even lawyers cannot be able to fathom all of them. You can't read all the 600 acts of parliament, and you can't have all of them in your head. We are drowning in law. I think every time there's a bad manners happening somewhere, we come up with a law for it. And then there's another malady, we come up with a law for it. And then there's another one, we come up with a law for it. Kenya is drowning in laws. I mean, I usually say the penal code was enough to punish everything. Like someone steals public money, the penal code says a thief should be put in jail and for this number of years. Okay. But now we have to come up with an anti-corruption authority, we have to come up with ethics and I don't know what, and an anti-corruption court to deal with the same thing that is theft. And then tomorrow morning we decide, okay, now we think that we are not able to live within the limits of the Constitution in terms of having an IBC in place. Now we want to make an amendment. Well, we know that our politicians have made that mistake. They did not follow the law. I think what we should have done is to punish those people who did not follow the law when it came to the time of constituting IBC at the right time. So now we are now having to make amendments and use public taxpayers' money and public time that parliamentarians would have been discussing other bills to help Kenyans, to discuss a malady that was created by the same politicians. So I am not extremely happy about having another 8 acts of parliament being amended or changed or even introduced. Okay. Because after we do that, there will be another bad manners by Kenyans. And instead of dealing with it within the legal framework that exists, we continue making new laws. I think Africa is in the process of just legislating, creating new bills, creating new laws for everything that happens. Even when you sneeze in public places, you want to come up with another law to remedy that. And I think that is where we go wrong as a country.
So there's no curative aspect in the Nadco report and the amendment bills that are coming to Parliament from where you sit?
I mean, ask yourself, why do we have all these bad manners? India, I keep saying, has got 3 commissioners in their IEBC equivalent. Mm-hmm. Right now, we are talking of boundaries review. There is one constituency in India, for your information, that has got 3 million people. Because these people have about 590 MPs for a country that has got close to 1 billion voters.
Okay.
So why are we having these bad manners of even saying now we want to review our boundaries? If India can have one constituency with 3 million people, I think it's a high time we start asking ourselves. So every 12 years, tunazaana, tunaongezeka. By the time we are 70 million, we'll have to bomoa parliament and have a bigger parliament so that we have 1,000 legislators. We need to get to a point where we realize that we cannot continue reviewing our boundaries mannerlessly and every other time trying to increase the number of, because there's no time you review them to reduce. I can tell if they review them now, we shall have 500 legislators and so on and so forth. And I think it's a high time. Someone was suggesting that Nairobi needs 10 more constituencies. What for? So we just need to realize that at the point where we are in, the 290 are already excess. So let's not add more.
Well, I'm sure the legislature